Hello folks, and welcome to our game here with myself, Shane Stapleton. We've no Michael Verney this week, but I think we've more than able deputies in Ciaran Carey, who joins us every week, and Kilkenny four-time All-Ireland winner, Christy Heffernan. Am I right, Christy?
In or abouts.
Yeah, I don't want to shortchange it. The Club All-Irelands as well.
The Club All-Ireland is bigger than that's my favourite one, the club.
Yeah, well, and that's a touchy subject with Ciaran, surely. You had one at Ciaran's expense in 91.
No, I know it was great. Jesus, sure, Ciaran he almost bet us on his own that day. Only for our goalkeeper, and we wouldn't have made it. But fair play, it was great memories from that time. And you know, you meet some of the lads on the street that you played against. Lord Mercy and poor Leonard. I was down at his funeral, and I met some of the parties as well. It was nice to meet him, and you know, roll back the years. And you know, I think the GA, that's one thing. You know, the lads, they kind of get together and support. You know, when things are down, they support each other.
Do you have any memories of that, Ciaran? I'm sure you do.
I do, yeah. And thinking back at it now, actually, I'm thinking of the Glenmore team, right? I could be wrong here, but like they had a packed team that had, I don't know, about 7 or 8 in the county players. That Christy, they had his brother Ray, they had Willie O'Connor, Eddie O'Connor, Liam Simpson. I'm probably leaving out 1 or 2. You know, they had a packed modern inter-county hurling team, and you know, it was a flaking game. Fantastic game, you know, and it was there first. And, you know, I'd never begrudge any club that's coming through small little town like Christie's Glenmore. It was an outstanding win for them. You know, usually when we get to the finals, there only can be one winner. Obviously, we were kind of gunning to win it ourselves, and we haven't been back there since. So that'll tell you how hard, and it appears to be getting harder and harder, especially at club level, to get to an All-Ireland club final. But as Christy said, great memories, and, you know, there was great characters actually playing on both teams at the time.
Was indeed. Liam Welsh and Tim Phelan. Simpson was actually a Bennett's Bridgeman, but Liam Welsh and Tim Phelan used to play for in midfield for Glenmore. But
Mike Phelan, that's right, yeah, another good hurler.
Yeah, I tried to meet Marty Morrissey's right-hand man there, Punch down in Ballyneety every year. And today, like, it's a great get-together down in Ballyneety. It's like a whole reunion. You know, it's well done for the South Liberties.
Do you remember, Christy, the final whistle in that 91 club final?
Do I what?
Do you remember the final whistle and the feeling on that final whistle?
Oh, absolutely. It was tremendous, you know. Yeah, God, the things that you see old men crying on the sideline afterwards, you know, it's just something special. You know, Ciaran, yourself, from winning a county championship.
Yeah.
You know, it was something special. I think we had a lot of pain from the previous years. Ballyhale Shamrocks had played Ballybrown the previous year, but they fucking robbed us in the county final. We were 2 points up with time up. No pain. Imagine 2 points up with time up. I always look at that and say, Jesus, how Galway felt this year. Fuck hell.
Right.
You know, it was game over, and next thing it was over.
Yeah, but I remember Christy, Paul Foley now, who works very closely with the Munster Council, works with JP. He was full back that particular day, and to me, he was like a professional butcher. He was trying to cut scalps off, you know, left, right, and centre. And come here, Christy. Either way, it didn't work anyway.
Well, once the freeze went over the bar, that didn't matter. I remember we actually played the semi-final actually against Dunley, who beat us years later in the semi-final. But we played Dunley in the semi-final, and I think I scored maybe a point, maybe nothing, but I think Ray scored about 7 or 8 points, but the full-back was eventually sent off. But you know, it was just one of them days. I always look at, you know, it doesn't matter who scores versus TJ Reid or at the end of the day, that's all that matters, you know. Who scores?
Yeah, but Shane, I think if my memory serves me right, when Christy comes back, they probably had about 6 or 7 inter-county players. You know, did a pack side, but very good side. But you could sense a very tight-knit group.
They were, yeah. They were. Well, a lot of them related, Ciaran, like yourselves, I suppose.
Yeah.
A lot of connections going back through families, you know.
Yeah. And doesn't that kind of galvanise a kind of little club like that and make it kind of totally tighter as a group when you have a kind of families mixed in the mix?
It does indeed. Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. Sure. Absolutely. Well, what did you say, Shane? and was it this an ounce of
breathing.
better than a ton of feeding.
That's right.
Christy, you scored a goal in that final, didn't you? Now, to be fair, you were outscored by Ciaran, who got 5 points. But what was it like scoring a goal in an All-Ireland Club final?
It was so different because I didn't use the hurley. I kicked it.
But as you were saying just before the show, Kilkenny are getting good at football now.
I scored a pint at the boot as well.
But Chris, come here, Christy Walsh there. He mustn't have been aware of that, because if he was, you could have been super sub there a week ago.
I could. I know Chris, he lived in Waterford here for a good while.
That's right.
Was Owen Murphy's father play on that team as well?
Oh no, Paddy was gone. Paddy played. I played with Paddy now for years. Paddy played full back for Glenmore. He played our first ever county final. Paddy was the full back, and I think he was injured. That he was definitely gone. He wasn't even on the panel that time. We were very lucky that time. We had such a bunch of lads. Would you believe the juniors won the county final that year? So we had actually a junior, an intermediate and a senior team the following year. It's not 1 year because that's the way it happened. And I suppose like anything here, you see guys playing with your club and they playing, and next to playing with the better lads, they all get better.
Of course they do, yeah. And actually, and thinking back, you said Leonard in right there, Sean Foley and Frankie Nolan. They would have been direct opposition for you for years. They were all in the 39, 14, 41, and we had another fellow, Ger Hayes. And I suppose if they were probably about 3 years younger, we would have a stronger team. But that's the way it goes. But their experience was absolutely huge for the whole squad and the younger guys. So they would have been there throughout my whole career. And, I would have probably know where I stood with them. I knew my place in the dressing room, and I would have a serious respect for those guys. So for me, looking back at it, was a great schooling, how I needed to mold myself into a setup like that with huge big guns in the dressing room.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you had Gary Kirby as well, Anthony Carmody. They were. There was a good Limerick inter-county player on that team. There's a serious.
There was, and you had the Spinkler, the Foleys, you had the Punches. I had a few brothers playing. So Patrick Swell were probably similar, but probably not had the same experience. I'd say, Christy. That was probably it.
Possibly. I suppose maybe the other side of it, we look at Croke Park as a home venue for us.
Yeah.
Because most of the lads have played, well, quite a few of them played underage with Kilkenny in Croke Park, made minor under 21. So that experience, but saying all that, geez, you're coming from a country club and you have, lads that are, I would say, rednecks coming in, if you want to say that.
That's right.
You just get I remember the first time I played, Frank Cummins, the great midfielder from Kilkenny. Frank said, "Look, Christy, it's like we're out to play in Mulnavat. Fucking to say, just a different field, That's
Frank looking for you. That's Frank looking for you there, Christy.
I don't know who it can ring away now.
That's Derek Ling with a late call up.
If they want me enough, they leave a message and I'll ring him back.
We've got the All-Ireland final coming up this weekend, so there's going to be any amount of rednecks heading for Dublin, as you like to call them, Christy. How excited are you heading up to this final now? I know you're based down in Waterford City. You have Walsh Park behind you down there, just where you work. But are you excited for this final?
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be, if you look at the Limerick team, they're so well structured. If things go wrong, they know how to make them right. And the experience they've had, they've been in a few tough. This year in particular, they've been in quite a few tough battles. I suppose they're going for the 4 in a row will probably give them an extra incentive. Kilkenny are going now. This will be 8 years without a championship, and it's like a famine down here. But I'm sure lots of other counties would be glad to be in that position. But I don't know, the Kilkenny team, they just don't know how to give up. And last year, they were gone. They were never going to win it last year, as it appears. But the ball had to go up the field one more time. I think it would have happened.
Ciaran, what's the excitement like down in Patrickswell and in Limerick?
It's huge, Shane, to be fair. And, I suppose I'm acutely aware that this present team are in kind of bonus territory, because it's kind of uniquely brilliant when you're contesting a 4 in a row, because it's pretty rare. So myself personally, I'm enjoying the moment and every day. You know, there's an awful lot of people, I suppose, very nervous. Will we do it? Will Declan Hannon be playing and all this kind of stuff, right? But, you know, it's fantastic, Shane, because as I said, the uniqueness of it, you know, and I'm really looking forward to it, you know, and it will be a different game from last year. Like, and at the end of the day, last year, you know, I can remember, I remember the main points of last year's game. I just felt the first 25 minutes, Kilkenny they played with a serious amount of fear and nervousness. They got the fundamentals right. As Kilkenny, as Christy said there, the one thing you'll get from Kilkenny always, their values are brilliant. They'll always empty the tank and the second tank, no matter what happens. But I just felt if their unforced errors and their boo-boos last year, if they hadn't as many, because Limerick punished them with every one of them. And still at the end of it, there was only 3 points in it. And Limerick, in my opinion, from 5 to 12, 3-6, 3-6, 8-9, in those 9 positions, Limerick pulverized them like 8-1. So that area is going to be huge also. And if Kilkenny can kind of come out pretty even in there and, you know, lessen the unforced errors and the boo-boos and, you know, and don't be overawed by the green and white, you know, because Kilkenny, in fairness, they're the one county that have a great knack, whether it's the first 2 minutes or in the middle of it at the end, scoring goals. And I think they'll probably need goals Sunday.
Yeah, I'll agree with you, Ciaran. Yeah, they stood off Limerick last year. You know, no question about it. And they were dizzy. They didn't know where the Limerick players were. They just couldn't. You were looking around, where were they? They were fucking either 10 yards left or right here. So I think that from what I've seen, like with Clare and Cork and Tipperary and, you know, Galway for half an hour the last day, I think if Kilkenny don't push up, make Limerick play, make him hit the ball. If they let him play with the ball, well, Limerick will be bringing home the 4 in a row.
Tactics, Christy. Tactics will be huge Sunday, and you rightly pointed it out there. If Derek Ling and the boys on the line are tactically razor sharp on the day and take on board what you're saying and squeeze up, then they have a bit of a chance. But you'll know after about 10 minutes if they are tactically awake to what's happening. Because the game then will take Limerick's trend if they're not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so, yeah. I think it'll be, you know, the tactics will come into it, but I think the drive within the players and have an awful lot to do with it. You know, if you're there individually on the field yourself and you can see what's going on, the tactics sometimes might have to go out the window, and you yourself will have to take it on board and make them decisions and drive on. And it's individuals then, like TJ Reid, Owen Cody, you know, the midfielder, Mullen, yeah, like these guys, they'll have to, you know, not make the mistake they made the last day. I mean, we lost by 2 points last year, and Jesus, TJ gave a pass to Rich, and you couldn't fucking miss it, and he missed it. You know, simple things like that. But I don't. You'd wonder at the finish how were Kilkenny so close, but they just didn't give up. You know, if they get a think at close a smell of it on Sunday, it'll take a lot to shake them off. But saying that, Limerick have the tools. They have the tools, but you know, sometimes the tools don't always work. But
sometimes the tools are a bit blunt, Christy.
Christy, now
Ciaran, the tools we use, it's a different game now. Sure,
sure, Christy. Chalk and cheese.
A rubber ball. The ball is only a rubber ball. And if you'd fucking tackle anybody, it's a free yellow card. I mean, the last day, people in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? No blood on them.
Oh yeah.
Christy, now don't take this as a Tipperary person trying to wind up a Kilkenny man, but this could be a 4 in a row for Kilkenny as well, losing 4 All-Irelands in a row.
Well, we don't want that to be said anyway. No, it's trying to be 3, was it not 3?
No, it'll be 4, sure. Didn't we hammer you in 2016, 2019, and then you lost last year?
Now, your 4 in a row on the row now is. I know you're talking about losing 4, yeah, but it's not in a row though.
Well,
yeah, it's not.
But look, that'll be an unfamiliar position for Kilkenny given the dominance that came before it.
I know, yeah. Just we were spoiled. Christ Almighty, what the success they've had was just something else, you know. Look, all them players. Look at the current team, and look what Henry Sheffrin had playing around him. I don't want to say what's playing around TJ Reid now. It's just a different animal altogether, you know. The game is different. Not taken away from the lads out there. Just they all do their best, you know. And you know, Ciaran, if a guy goes out there and does his best, and he comes off the field, once you fucking change your gear in the dressing room there, and you say, "Well, I gave it my all," you know, that's you can't ask for more. And if the better team beats, that's fair and square. Just get on with it.
Yeah, but Christy, you're right there. Like Kilkenny have the artillery. To be fair, you mentioned TJ there and on Cody, Massey Keoghan on his day, Donnelly on his day, Billy Ryan on his day. Like they will all have to come to this party. The whole lot of them. They can't just rely on one or two. But if they all come, then it could make it very interesting.
Yeah, I know Billy Ryan, the God Almighty, the chances that he creates, you know, and the ones he finishes after so few, and he's a ferocious electric speed. It doesn't finish it, unfortunately. And maybe Sunday will be his day. You know, maybe I don't know. There's a few different lads that's been called into the panel now because I believe there's one. I'm told there's one of the lads out. The wing back, I think, is out for Kilkenny. So that's rumour. So I don't know.
Paddy Deegan or Blanchfield?
Blanchfield, as
all
far
right.
as I'm.
Oh, he beat Big last now.
Yeah, he only came in last year, sub in the last few minutes. Yeah, he had a reasonably good season, but I'd say Corcoran would probably come in for him. I don't know. He would sound like the obvious choice. He was playing there before that from Ballyhale Shamrocks, the wing back for Ballyhale. He's a big lad now, strong lad, but the other guy is more wiry. Might be as physically strong. Corcoran probably bigger, maybe more loose. I don't know. It's hard to tell. He's certainly proved it for the Shamrocks numerous times. Can you bring that to Croke Park again? Like he's done it with the Shamrocks in Croke Park. Maybe he can do it this time.
Yeah. And like I was going to ask you then, Christy, how do you think that Derek Lyng has done in his first year, considering, you know, he's come, you know, after Brian Cody, who's won so much?
I think he must go to Mass often, I'd say. No, I mean the players he had. Jesus, look, they played that. I suppose you're talking about, you know, the unbeaten teams. Kilkenny and Limerick are beaten already this year, and you know that's a hard fact, and sometimes it's hard to swallow. Wexford were the only team that beat Kilkenny, and Clare were the only team that beat Limerick. So it's on the day, you know. I mean, you know, quietly, I feel that the players are able to express themselves a bit better. He's making changes, I think. Maybe I'm biased on Brian Cody. I haven't played with him. I think he's making the change a little bit quicker. With what he has, the players are there. They're giving it their all, you know. But the dogs in the street to pick the Limerick team. You know, you ask if you can, even myself, I wouldn't rattle off the Kilkenny team just like that. You know, maybe 7 or 8 of them, but there's the rest of them. You say, you know, who's in and who's out, because there's different guys come in and come out. So, I mean, 4 years? I can't remember what year. 2015. Wally came in. He hadn't played first game.
2012.
What years?
2012.
2012, first year.
Yeah.
You know, hadn't played the whole year for Kilkenny. So, is there a rabbit in the hat? I don't know, but the game is so different now, though. You know what I mean, Ciaran? I think.
There want to be a few rabbits in the hat, Christy.
What'd you say, Ciaran?
There'd want to be a few rabbits in the hat.
Well, I don't care. We don't need the hat. We'll take the cup.
Are there any matchups that you're looking forward to in this game?
Well, I suppose TJ Reid and Owen Cody, you know, if it's man on man, if they're one-on-one up front, Limerick could be in trouble. They need a few extra bodies back there to control to marry the two of them. Now, the corner forwards go back. I know they all go back and they all go forward. But one man there you didn't mention, I think Tom Morrissey has been absolutely tremendous for Limerick. Jesus, he's up and down the field. He's putting in tackles. He's knocking over scores. And the same goes for Dara Donovan. They're not getting the same, maybe the highlights as some of the others, but The two of them now, they seem to do well. Donovan seems to be always in the right place at the right time, and he does the right thing with the ball, and never seems to be in a panic. I know he hasn't maybe got a fair deal at times with Ciaran Carey, but he just seems to be in. He's in there. He's available. He delivers it. If he gets a grip on the game, it'll be hard to stop Limerick, because it's like he's changing the gears, and Limerick just go up the gear when he gets the machine moving. And Cian Lynch, like having him back, I think we haven't seen. There's a lot more to come from him. Like he's something else. I mean, they're all Peter Casey, they're all Flanagan and Gillan. Who's going to mark Gillan? Who's going to mark Gillan? That's the thing.
Who do you think, Christy? Christy, who will they put on him, do you think?
Who's going to mark Tony Kelly? I don't know.
Ciaran, what would you think?
I'd say Hugh Lawler. He was actually on him this time. He was on him last year, actually, and I felt, he was new. Hugh Lawler was new enough, finding his feet, and to me now he's turned out to be an awesome player. I put him down as a super player, a brilliant future. He's actually after cranking it up a notch in 12 months. But not only that, Gillan is actually after cranking it up a few notches as well. So it'll be very interesting encounter if the two of them are going to be going toe-to-toe Sunday.
And Ciaran, do you think that
they have both of them, Shane? They have speed. Lawler has, for a big guy, he has tremendous speed, as has Gillan, and skill-wise, absolutely. Now the goalkeeper has an awful lot to do with it now. I mean, Jesus, last year, the goalkeeper, the puck out was coming, and Kilkenny just did the same thing as they always do. Get the ball down the other end of the field as quick as you can. That's where you're nearer that goal than your own goal. So I don't know what tactic that'll have a bearing. Owen Murphy's my own clubman, and he's just something, like he plays centre half back for the club. So you see him coming off his line, he puts his body on the line. That's I think Nicky Quaid the same. Like even the semi-final, the lads saying that Clare missed goals and missed this and that. It's just the Clare goal. He stopped 2 bullets. And to saying we missed them as well as they missed them. So what'll happen on Sunday? And I think, Ciaran, that will be the foundation for what happens out the field. And will they go long? Will they go short? All I can say is Limerick don't like the ball pucked out. They like to be given the ball. If Limerick have to puck it out, anything is possible. But if they're given the ball,
you made a vital point there. Actually, of all the last few years, this year appears to be, for the goalkeeper on the championship day, they're a bigger fish than what they were, right? Because a lot of teams are squeezing up. So most goalkeepers, I suppose, discipline, they're looking for, when teams are squeezing up, they're looking for a small window of a quick cock out. And if one switches off, Murphy and Quaid have the ability to be a sniper at any given moment in time. So discipline is going to be huge. If both teams are squeezing up, then you have to be razor sharp and ready for it, because those two goalkeepers, as you said, they're seasoned campaigners. Actually, they're similar. Both of them have experience playing out the field.
Yeah.
Both of them are brilliant shot stoppers, and both of them are razor sharp to find their man. So that's a huge point. It could have a massive bearing in it, actually.
It could. Murphy is like another fullback, because he came off the line against Galway there, and there was a certain goal on. He's off he put his body on the line as well. Now, last year, the same thing against Galway in the Leinster final. He came out and put his body on the line. But look, these things happen in matches. Other things, you get your chances. But I think that if you can get the shooting boots on, they shot wise last year that they normally wouldn't shoot. And maybe, like you said, them rabbits could be in the hat yet. We'll see.
And to be fair to Kilkenny, like putting up a scoreline of 226 last year, it's not that many teams that have scored what converts to over 30 points against Limerick in the championship since John Kiley took over. So that is highly impressive. What about then Mikey Butler? Would you be putting him on Peter Casey, for example, because he likes to travel out the field, and he's not the same now as Tony Kelly because he's kind of more jinking left and right than a sprinter up and down the pitch, Christy.
Yeah, that's true. Casey is extremely. Casey does like a bit like Dara Donovan. He makes the team look very simple. He makes scores and he's moving on pretty well all the time. Has a Butler like he's not inclined to venture up the field for some reason. I think if the Kenny half back line break the tackle, Limerick will know all about it, and that's what they're not doing. Kenny half back line, you won't see him down the other end of the field. You won't see him down attacking. Like you would see Seamus Flanagan back 21-yard line. You see, Peter Casey back there. You're not going to see the Kilkenny full forward line. Okay, TJ went back the last time, but you won't see too many of them back there. I feel that if we our half back line get on with it and move up the field and take on the attack, lay off the pass, like Limerick continue, like Diarmaid Burns, Declan Hannon, they're Kyle Hayes, they're tremendous players, each one of them. Jesus, they take any one of them on the team sheet for any team. They just don't make mistakes, and if they do it, they're very, very few. So, Ciaran, yourself, playing against Kilkenny, they'll give it their all, and I think that it'll come down to one or two things to decide the match. I hope it's a great game. Jesus, we are really looking forward to it now. That's the way it is, and the closer it gets, I think the better. I feel myself now more so this year than the last couple of years. I know Tipperary fucking hammered us in 2016 and 19.
And 2010.
2010 was the kind of, we were getting tired then. We had 4 in a row. Yeah, I think we bet 2011 though, just to put the record straight. Is that right or is it right?
I don't know, Christy. I haven't a clue what you're talking about.
2015 as well, and sure, only for Barry Kelly would have won 2013 as well. He sent off Henry Bowman Turles for that.
You got away with enough red cards over the years, Christy.
I know that, but that time, look at Shane. If you fucking touch someone now, you get sent off. If you looked at him, and you wouldn't even see a drop of blood, there wouldn't be a drop of blood on him. Yes, I used to have the fucking hand to be with blood on it, and it gives you a better grip on the hurling. Now they have fucking down to the boss.
But Christy, funny enough, we didn't touch on it yet. Now, actually, the referee could have a huge bearing on Sunday because the two teams, they like to go at it as quick as they can. They like to be physical. They're both fairly dominant on the high ball. So the referee on the day will have to be as razor sharp also because he could have a big bearing in this.
Well, look here, I hope he lets the play flow because if he's everybody tackle, well, we won't have much hurling. It'll be a shootout. It'll be a shootout around Glenn and TJ Reid. I hope he lets the game flow, and then if free is a free. I mean, you don't give it, you don't give it, and if you don't get it, just get on with it. And if you give out and complain, and he's not going. Do you ever see a ref change his mind? No. Decision is made. I think. He refereed Clare and Limerick there 2 years ago, and everybody was saying, it was absolutely bringing the game down. It was the best game I've seen for years.
You're on the ball, Christy.
No?
You're on the ball. It was the nearest to kind of old school and modern hurling, actually, in 1 hour and 10 minutes. So it was good. There was big hits. It was fair. There was no octopus. There was no octopus tackling the shoulders or the arms. It was very good.
Yeah, no, I think if he lets off the game and let it flow, but lads going down, I can't. Jesus, man, it makes me die to see lads going down. Their head is turned off, almost flung off. There's a speciality in doing now. You just twist and turn, get your man booked. So what does the sideline do now? Sure, if he does another tackle, we're down to 14 men. There's the referees are being sucked in. The ball is going too fast. They can't keep up with the play. They can't keep up with it.
Is there a bit of diving coming into the GA now? Players kind of just flopping, Christy?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Flopping, yeah.
Christy, if they were flopping in our time, Christy, it'd be from the pole at Hurley, the back of the pole. That was flopping.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they'd be fucking conked out then, all right. No, I think I think it's gone into teak hurling. I mean, if Ciaran got a ball and ran at me, sure, if I put my hands out, Ciaran falls down, I get booked. You know, and I didn't even pull a stroke on him. And there's no blood, no bandage, no bruising, and I get yellow card. I'm taken off, sent off. Now I was only sent off once in my lifetime.
You'll have to remind us of that. What happened there?
Wexford foot. It's on YouTube. Look it up YouTube. Wexford foot.
Did you deserve to get red?
You'll have to make up your own mind on that. Everybody.
No, Shane. In fairness, I remember Christy, right, and especially at club games, because usually at club level, you know, the opposition would love to have a little pop off you because you've got a county jersey on, you know. So Christy took his, like back in the day, you know, when you could pull, he's took his fair share of treatment. And in fairness, if he's saying he only got the red card once, by God, and that's a fair statement, because he possibly could have got it nearly every day he went out, he was getting punishment. But Christy, I want to change the subject slightly. I saw a lovely picture during the week. I thought it was brilliant, of Brian Cody in Kilkenny. We're just after winning, I think, the Leinster final, or I don't know what match, or could have been the last match. And you could actually see the delight on his face up in the stand. It just was so nice. It was beautiful. There was no jealousy, and he was still embracing Kilkenny, still there in the heat of battle at the tail end of the championship. That was number one. I believe he's getting involved now with his club as well at the end of the I think now. So it's great to see it.
Sitting beside Matt Root, actually, that match. That was in Croke Park, yeah. Oh, yeah, look, it's just, Ciaran, you know yourself, you're following Limerick and playing with Limerick so many years. The passion never goes, you know, you just...
No.
And everything else goes out the window. You talk about, for that particular time, when the game is on, nothing matters. Money doesn't matter, life doesn't matter, just the match in front of you.
Fact, yeah.
You know, it's just...
everything else takes a back seat.
Absolutely.
And Ciaran, at these matches, do you find yourself getting worked up?
Not really, Shane. No, I suppose I'm kind of conscious when I go to these type of games. You know, I'm conscious. I want to kind of really study it, watch it, and I don't want to miss anything. And if I'm getting involved with some fella roaring on my left or some fella roaring on my right, you know, a bit like when you're playing, I have the same old frame of mind. I just want to be fully tuned in and kind of want to watch everything and miss nothing. And, you know, and that to me suits me rather than getting involved and roaring and shouting and, you know, backhands on supporters left and right. So, you know, I don't get worked up, Shane. As, you know, I just tend to stay cool, enjoy the moment, enjoy the time, because, yeah, this Sunday, you know, I suppose if I was wearing the black and amber jersey, I couldn't wait for Sunday to put last year right. You know, you'll be bulling for that. And I suppose from the Limerick point of view, you know, to have 3-1, to put manners in Kilkenny last year over 2019, and have an opportunity to put the record right again, just to make sure last year wasn't a fluke. So there's a lot of play, and I suppose from the player's point of view, it's about mentally, you know, getting up for it nice and quietly in your own spare time. As Christy said, tactics from time to time go out the window, but your individual ability and skill on the day. Of course, Dara O'Donovan. Sure, Dara O'Donovan is playing to a system no different to the rest of them. You know, that's the system. Yeah. But you still have to bring the fullness of your ability, I suppose, to the biggest day of the year. Christy mentioned Croke Park. My frame of mind at Croke Park always was, if you go to Croke Park, you have to perform. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree, Ciaran. Yeah, no, it's on the day, but you're talking about the hurt from last year. You know, we had a hurt in 73, and we came back in 74.
What are your memories of that then? Like, what was the motivation going into that game then in 74 when you're looking for revenge?
Well, there were so many that there was about 4 or 5 of the key players that were regulars on the team that were gone. No, it's a horrible wet day. You know, Limerick came that time. They beat Tipperary in the Munster final, and I remember Richie Bennett, and I know Richie's a lovely fella. He's a Patrick's well man too. But that was, to see him beating Tipperary, we were absolutely delighted. But we didn't know. Sure, look, Shane, you know we all love to see beating Tip. You know that's our favorite, beating Tip. first passion is beating Kilkenny. And if other teams could wear Kilkenny jerseys, Wexford would have a lot of All Irelands. But 73, Limerick just got stuck into it, and they got the scores, and the goal that was bundled in at the end of the game to finish it off. It was a horrible day, but the players, we had most of them back the following year, and we beat Limerick comprehensively in the final. But that was a great Limerick bunch. And saying that, the victory I had with Limerick in my own playing days was in 1985. Above it, or I think it wasn't. It was 82. Jesus, Frankie Nolan came in off the bench, and he nearly bet us. Joe McKenna was playing full forward that time. We played up in Thurles. And it was extraordinary. That same year, we won the All Ireland, beating Cork with the same score, 2-12 to 2-14, and the same beating Limerick in the National League final, 2-12 to 2-14. Horrible wet day or windy day final, but the memories of the Limerick, they had some great players that time. The great Leonard Enright was there. Paddy Fitzmaurice, the guy playing midfield from with a black and white helmet. I went out with his sister. I can't think of his name now.
Jimmy Carroll.
Jimmy, and Frankie.
Christy, I never realised you used to do a small bit of hunting down the Limerick side.
Come here, Ciaran. My wife is from West Clare.
Oh, sorry, you went further again.
I met her in Spain.
Christy, what's your memories of playing in All Ireland finals yourself? What comes to mind?
I suppose the excitement of it. What comes to mind? Jesus, you know what? Everything goes so fast in the match, and it even goes faster when you're losing. I was captain in '91. We lost to Prairie. I mean, we didn't lose by much. We weren't supposed to be even in the run, but we were there. We just didn't go away. That's you're putting up the picture now on the screen there. Yeah,
I am.
Willie Horgan. Yeah, so poor John Power got his hand pushed into the rail in that time.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Aidan Ryan didn't mean it.
I know he didn't. I know, but Bobby Ryan, all the Ryans, I know Declan pretty well now. I often meet Declan. They're a nice bunch of lads, Nice bunch of lads. And even the infamous John Lahey, he's behind it all, he's a nice lad. I have to say, it's amazing, like here, and yourself meeting. It's nice to meet the lads out now and again. It just rolls back the years and some of the memories, and you go back after and say, "Yes, I remember that fucking cunt. He nearly took the head off me once."
Well, Christy, you're right. You're right, but you know yourself when you're in the heat of the battle and years go by, And I suppose it's like what we said, when you're in the moment, you're in the moment. And Phil Binnis had an old saying here, like, you kill or be killed, and you have that frame of mind there all the time. Next thing, you're kind of gone away from the game and you're kind of gone slightly shy and you're playing a bit of golf and you're meeting the lads. Sure, you're meeting different animals and they're meeting different animals too, because we're softening as we're getting older. We're kind of mellowing out, and the real madness and resentment and all that stuff is kind of gone. So, but it's brilliant.
Some of my best friends are in Wexford now. I went to school around, but the Wexford lads are just they're so passionate. Equally, the Waterford people, the supporters they have, they're just so passionate, and they love their hurling down here. But unfortunately, they have lots of other attractions. They're the water sports and every other sport you could imagine. We don't have that in Kilkenny. So it's just I know people. Would you believe I was talking to a girl yesterday, and she's from Czechoslovakia, but she's living in Mulnavat, and her young fella's hurling now.
Yeah, they're great.
That's the way it is. That's
fantastic.
I was going to ask you then, Christy, who was the hardest man you ever came up against on a hurling field?
They being the hardest to play. Well, the hardest.
Flaking, I mean flaking.
Yeah, you would say flaking or playing again.
Shane, are you calling it the dirtiest fullback now or the hardest fullback? There's a difference there now in hardness and dirty.
Yeah.
There is. Well, You give us your impression, Christy. Who stands out like that you have physical battles with?
Yeah, I could never get away from was Eugene Coughlin.
Awfully, yeah.
I played Conor Hayes, I played Leonard Enright, and a few of the Cork, Donald O'Grady, a few lads from Cork, and the Wexford lads as well, Tony Welsh, Eamon Cleary, Jack Russell, well, I'd say the hardest guy that you couldn't just shake him off was Eugene Coughlin. The dirtiest guy, I don't think I would be. I don't want to be having a court case now, so I won't go.
No, stick with the hardest, Christy. The hardest will do.
Yeah, I think the Eugene Coughlin was the hardest to get away from. There was a great,
good fullback actually.
Mm-hmm.
And Christy, like, what was it about hurling that you loved? I mean, everyone, I find you get different answers. Some people love scoring a goal. Some people just love pucking a ball off a wall.
The first thing you mentioned there, Shane, I never got any satisfaction when I scored a point. If I scored 3 or 4 points in a match, it didn't mean much to me. All I meant was goals is all I was focused on. I didn't matter whether I got him or the fella beside me got him once we got him. So if I was part of the makeup of the goal, that made it for me. If it's Liam Fennelly got it or Billy Fitzpatrick, it didn't matter to me. Once we got it, and even getting it myself, it was probably a bit extra. But the goals, points, like that. I suppose that's the way it is. Kilkenny, the guys kind of go for the juggler. They just go and they'll see the opening. Seldom will they not pass it. They'll usually leave it off to a better man, and it's a quick decision, Ciaran. You have to make that decision quick. Because
were you playing in the era when you could catch it and literally throw it into the net? No,
I was indeed. Yeah, I was.
Handy enough, wasn't it?
Well, you wouldn't always have your hand intact, though.
No, I know that.
Yeah, you might have the other hand be well. Usually, the other hand gets broken anyway. The one that holds the hurley gets broken, not the one that's catching the ball.
That's and right. Tony Doran comes to mind as well. Tony Doran would have taken fair clatters down through the years to putting up the ball. He put it up anywhere.
Never get a belt on the hand if you get into if you get into the player, you've done it yourself. You want to catch the ball. What do you do with your man? If the ball is coming down, where are you? Where is he? One thing for sure, your catching hand is free, and your elbow is stuck in his ear, and he don't know what's going on. It's all a matter of making sure you're in control. And I'd say to the guys, where the ball is coming down between me and you, who's going to get it? But if I'm in the way, you won't get it. But you have to tactics then. I think it's the one-on-one battles like that. There's some great players on the Limerick team that can win their own battles in the air, and equally with Kilkenny. But it's not individual battles anymore. It's a kind of a gathering. Like if you were playing out, Ciaran, in today's game, Jesus Christ, the ball will be laid onto you time and again. Boom, 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 boom. They run out of ink with so many chances you have. Because the speed you had now, I don't think that even the current lads had your speed. You might think Seamus Flanagan has speed, or some of the you were the fastest that was going that time. And even when we played you in the All Ireland, Jesus, how are we going to manage Ciaran Carey? And sure enough, we were lucky that you missed a few chances, so that's what kept us there. And like that,
Christy, if you don't mind me asking, because you're throwing out brilliant names, Billy Fitzpatrick, you hurled with some brilliant players, and your inter-county career was kind of, the longevity was good. And I know I'm probably putting you on the spot here now, but who in your opinion that you would have played with during your career within Kilkenny that you probably hand in your heart and say, yeah, pound for pound, he's probably one of the best I've played with?
Jesus, I suppose Ger Henderson that time was engine down the middle for us. When the chips were down, and not only that, he had a fierce drive on the team. He would fuck you out and roar at you, and could give you a good fucking box in the stomach, to get you going. There was he had something extra passion. Frank Cummins was another one.
Yeah.
Both of them are Catholics, but they were, they never left hand behind him. They never left hand.
I'm not surprised you picked the two of them now, because I would have spotted him as well. Henderson centre back and kind of a bit of a crouch. Nothing went in there, and Cummins, they appeared to die for the cause every day they went out.
They did, yeah, they did. Brian Cody was the fullback, but Brian didn't.
Well,
Brian was vocal as the lads. He, as probably in modern terms back then, Brian was too much of a hurler to be playing fullback.
We seem to have lost him for a second. Hopefully he'll come back. Yeah, like what's your memory?
Interesting, Joshine. Interesting. Listen to his take, isn't it? Because he would have played, back in the late 70s, 80s, and early 90s. So he probably went through 3 different decades there.
Are there any other matchups this weekend that you're looking forward to in particular? Like, I mean, the obvious one is Hugh Lawler against Darren Gillan. To me now, if Hugh Lawler can break even there, and he's such a good fullback, he was one of the few to hold down Conor Whelan this year. Like, that's a huge edge, surely, for Kilkenny if they can get a win there.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah, okay. I agree, Shane, right? But when you're talking about matchups, okay, and you'll pick Aaron Gillan, the obvious one, because he's red hot, right? And at the end of the day, Limerick have the luxury, for want of a better word. If Gillan doesn't come, Flanagan could. If Flanagan doesn't come, Casey could. If Casey doesn't come, Hegarty comes. Hegarty doesn't come, Keane Lynch comes. If Keane Lynch doesn't come, David Reedy. My point here is they've a packed 6 forwards. So you're not going to hold them all or kind of match up with all of them. If anything, you'll pick probably 1 or 2 are pretty hot at the minute. And if they can get joy there, and I suppose if there's a bit of consistency then with Kilkenny, to have a chance, Shane. Most finals, they're 50-50. But as the season has gone on with Limerick, I suppose definitely their last 10 minutes before half-time and their second half performance against Galway convinced me that they're back. So they are going to take some stopping and some beating.
Like, Gerard Hegarty has shown in the last few All-Irelands that he can be a game winner. I mean, the goal he got last year, the couple of goals he got against Cork. Like, is there a feeling that he's now coming to the boil at the right time? And then, obviously, Keane Lynch, he started to show some signs in that semi-final as it went on that he's right. Is it all sort of building nicely to the boil for Limerick at the right time?
Without a doubt, Shane. And you know what now? And looking from the outside in, you're kind of saying, that was a master stroke, the way they kind of operate and work that. But that's how it happened, to be fair. And it's working to their advantage. And it's going back to what myself and Christy were saying there a while ago. There's something special when you get the opportunity to go to Croke Park and hurl. Every player knows deep down this is an opportunity to deliver the goods. So that's why this Sunday's All-Ireland, I think, could be the makings of a brilliant match. But you're right, everything you said. Everything at the moment appears to be kind of falling into place with Limerick. And their defence in the second half against Galway, Shane, literally, it was like a training session. They were in so much control. Genuinely was. I was looking out and I was sizing up Casey, Morrissey. They were hurling at their ease.
Like, is there anyone that you're worried about on the Limerick side? Or sorry, on the Kilkenny side, I should say. And like, when you look back at last year, some of the things that Kilkenny got right was maybe pushing TJ Reid into sort of an area where Barry Nash had to try and match up with him. Obviously, Adrian Mullen is a brilliant hurler. He has a game kind of under his belt now after being out with injury. Owen Cody, he's in the hurler of the year conversation. Like, what worries you?
What worries me really is if Kilkenny are going to be razor sharp tactically, didn't have a chance because they have the artillery, they have the personnel, they have the names. But I suppose the only thing they're lacking really, in my opinion, is that bit of consistency. I mentioned Donlan there a while ago and I mentioned Mossy Keoghan. I've seen both of them playing at times and they were unstoppable. But I haven't seen it every day. So if 5 of the 6 forwards that's starting from Kilkenny come to the party and Derek Ling and Peter Barry and their line tactically nails it, then we're probably in for a mother and a father of an All-Ireland final.
Can TJ Reid have the perfect game here now? He's 35, heading for 36. Christy, do you think he can still get it done in an All-Ireland final on Sunday?
I just don't know what this guy, where he gets it from. He's something else. Watching Kilkenny players as long as I'm on this earth, he's the best player I've ever seen. Honestly, I have to say, you don't know what he's going to do with the ball, or where he's going to put it, or who he's going to give it. Or I remember you remember this now too, Shane. I think it was was it 2011? I say it probably was. Just trying to give you a bit of pain now, you know. We came out after fucking Winda Hogan side, came out after half time, and lads weren't sitting down. Next thing, TJ had the ball in the net. Remember that?
2012, yeah. The one you won by 18.
Was it? Did we beat you in 11 and 12, did we?
Yeah, in the final in 11 and the semi-final in 12.
Yeah. I most no. This was I think it was anyway. Jesus was, but he's just incredible what he does, and he brings other players into the game. You know, he can move the ball anywhere, and he can score from anywhere. You know, he's just something different. Like, I look at the former great players that always come to mind. Lads will talk about Eddie Kerr and DJ Carey and Henry Shefflin. This guy is a different class. You know,
Really,
look at the players that they had around him. Where TJ has, you know, he hasn't the same quality around him. You know, he's capable. Now, look at his legs. Obviously, they can't be the same as they were. And even this season, he didn't play, I think, hardly any games in the league. He only came back in when the championship started. And he didn't look to be at full throttle a lot of the time. You'd wonder was he getting himself in reserve. But look at his business is fitness. You know, that's what he has his own gym in Kilkenny, and that's his business. So I suppose he looks after himself pretty well. That's why the longevity of it. There's very few. There's nobody, I'd say, at his age still going. They might be maybe some of the weaker counties. I mean, not saying the weaker counties. The game thrown up this year, Shane, with Offaly and Carlow and Croke Park was just something else. I'd love to see a game like that on the next Sunday. They went to the wire an extra time. It was just. I'm sure we won't roll out a draw either, you know.
No.
And Christy, if I just want to kind of, I suppose, just develop what you were saying in around TJ, right? In my opinion, you know, and when you're pushing on in years, you know, you have to be clever and cute enough to tailor your game in accordance to your legs, right? And in fairness, not only has he done that, but the Kilkenny team has too, because any 50-50 ball now, the high ball, he actually gives it the fullness of his attention.
Yeah.
And they're the types of balls that he's winning. But outside of that, he's actually free taking, if anything, is probably outstanding than ever before. He's razor sharp in his frees. And as you rightly pointed out, you know, his bread and butter is looking after himself, minding himself. And I think he's after managing himself, obviously with the Kilkenny management, kind of timing it as time goes on. So I think, even though we haven't seen the dynamic of TJ, I think he's after having a super year up to date, even with Kilkenny, my own opinion.
Oh yeah, he has. Christ so much. The last three Leinster championships, 3 out of the 4, he was in. Only Richie Hogan had one unique few moments, but the other ones he's dragged him through on his own, practically single-handed. Now his next door, his neighbour just down the road, Owen Cody, Henry's nephew. He's developing, and that chap eats. He was a small boy. As I remember, TJ, Lord of Mercy, and TJ's mother. I remember calling to the house one time, and TJ was in the kitchen, and Lord of Mercy and Mary, and he had a wind ball, and he was fucking pucking this wind ball around the kitchen, and there were cups flying. TJ, stop that, TJ. Just took another cigarette and got on with it.
Yeah.
You know what? I think somebody's after correcting me there and saying it was 2014. It was the time just after half time. Because I remember Richie Power had pushed my brother in the back to get the ball to TJ. Yeah. And he blasted in the net from about the 21.
Yeah. That's it. I'm sure we had a penalty too at the time we bet you in the 4 in row. And they were saying he walked into the goal with the ball. So these decisions, like Shane, you know, they're painful as they are, you know. We just have to get on with them. I know you can't be beating you, but you're going to live with it for another while.
Christy does desperate old rubs given here left and right there for the last 3/4 of an hour. There's the dart here, there's a dart back. I love it. It's kind of Jonas like it's a bit like a tug of war.
And you're the referee here.
That's right, referee, yeah.
You've swallowed the whistle as well, Ciaran. You're not exactly going. There was Owen Murphy though, and Nicky Quaid, 2 great goalies. But how much pride do you get in Owen Murphy and like that save he made the last day, Christy?
He's just something else. He's doing it for so long, and
Mm.
like Murphy's like an extra defender, apart from a stopper, and he puts his body on the line. He's doing it for. Look, Murphy will give his. He gave everything to win on. So he'd give away his house, he'd give away his card, he'd give anything. They just won't give. They do their utmost. Every ounce of blood in them will be given there, and he kind of conducts the lads at the back. He gets the players to kind of cover up, and he has to come off his line a lot of the times to be the extra defender. Maybe give away a free if he has to, But like Nicky Quaid is it's like James McGarry playing for Kilkenny. James McGarry won 8 All-Irelands with Kilkenny. How many All-Stars did he get? None. And why didn't he get them? Because the full back's in front of him. So, rest my case. It's just
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal, actually, when you actually say that.
Yeah.
That statement: 8 All-Ireland medals and no All-Star thrown in there.
Yeah.
You find it hard to actually wrap your head even around that.
But James didn't talk to the media, so that didn't probably help. He didn't like.
Yeah, but you know what, Christy? At the end of the day, right? Whatever other awards come at the end of the year, I suppose they're a bonus. The main one here, Christy, really is.
Oh yeah.
He has the main little ones. That's the most important thing.
I try to tell that to the people down here in Waterford, and it's unfortunate that they don't look at it that way. They win the Munster Championship. They get into it. You got to win. It's not for individuals, to win in All-Ireland. It's the team to win. And what All-Stars, like, okay, that's a plus in your pocket, but it's not good if you have won nothing for the county. Individual awards are, and most of the time there's always controversy. If you look on the record and see some of the great players back in their time with other counties, Jesus Christ, you say, well, how come? And he was such a great player. Simple as that, It's just controversial. And when you see the guys who are picking him over the years, you say, Christ, that fella couldn't pick his nose.
No, just coming out.
Christy, I have to ask you, seeing as you're living down in Waterford, Davy Fitz he's staying on for next year. What's the mood like about that?
Say it again, Ciaran.
Davy Fitz, he's staying on for another year. I have to ask you because you're living down in Waterford. What's the mood like around the Waterford scene there in terms of Davy Fitz his first year and staying on for a second?
I think I'll reserve my judgment on that, but I feel I feel like the players. I mean, I can't. It's incredible what they did to Tipperary. They got so much. Seemed to be so much right with Liam Carroll, and Liam jumped ship. There was a bit of pain there, I think, when they went up to Thurles. Jesus, Shane, none of us saw that coming, and they wouldn't bring the cameras down to Wexford where there was a real match on the same evening. But how do they answer the question? What do I think? Well, you can only do what you got with you, the players you got, and what he's done with other counties over the years. I feel there's too much about the manager and not enough about the players. And I feel that as the players it's on the field. I think there should be less. Waterford should focus less on the back, what's happening in the background. Just do it on the field and shut up the critics. And here they have some great players, and they've had some great players over the years, but they haven't produced the results with a full 15. So making their breaks. There's some really passionate people here in Waterford. They really love it. They go to the ends of the earth for it. And I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him winning, as I'd like to see Wexford winning their next door neighbours on both sides. And
interesting enough now, Christy. I think they're after putting in place a new under-20s management team. I think it's headed by Ken McGrath. Is Dan Shanahan in there? I think he's another past player with him. I can't think of his name. Andy Maloney. So I reckon now that they're probably doing a small bit of cooking at the minute. And let's see how they get on, because if they do pretty good, or if they're kind of any bit up to it, then it's an automatic transition from there to up. So time will tell.
Well, Andy Maloney, I know Andy pretty well now, as I know the other guys as well. I think the main man there would be, and obviously Andy has more experience having trained Ballyhale Shamrocks to win All Irelands. Andy was there with Bonner years ago, but they had their own bit of success. But Andy Maloney now is very, very okay. He's a tip man, Shane. I won't let that bit out. He's very passionate about the game, and he and so is the others are equally. I think Andy would be the steadiest of that bunch. The rest of them would be, they'd be blood and thunder, but blood and thunder doesn't. You got to get the result on the scoreboard. It's a fairly packed team now. I saw I think it came up on social media yesterday. Then the Wexford manager is gone, so you wonder what's happening down there. Darragh Egan is gone. So I was in Kilkenny last night at they had their due on last night. And would you believe this? They had a signed jersey in the raffle, along with a lot of other prizes. And I was at the table beside this lad. You never guess who it was that won the prize of the signed jersey. A pure yellow belly, the infamous John Quigg.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But now, Waterford, though, going away from the topic, Waterford, they have the material, but gelling them all together, the Camogie team could do it now on Saturday up in Nolan Park, which I hope they do. Beat the Tipperary girls.
Christy, there's a question in for you here from 36 and counting, who's obviously a Kilkenny man. Ask Christy about the club game in the mid-90s in Ballyhale between Glenmore and Young All-Irelands when a striker ran onto the pitch. Is that true?
That happened, the first ever striker, yeah. In 1996, I was actually finished playing, and I asked me to go on. The game was kind of gone, and then went on. And then on Pat O'Neill was playing full back. It was the Kilkenny centre back time, playing full back for Gordon. And Gordon got this guy came on fully taught, not a stitch, and I gave him a lash at a hurler. And he came back for more, and Paul Phelan dragged him off then. Paul, who played with dragged him off.
Was he a local?
He was on the rink all day, see me. He done it for a bet. He done it for went on to win the county final. But he had to go ourselves.
On the beer and did it for a bet. He did it for the bet, Christy. A few more pounds for a few more pints. He was going low. He was going low on funds.
Yeah. Cool, yeah.
Christy, there's always a fascination around Brian Cody because of the reign that he had and so on. What was he like socially? What was he like? Was he as good a crack as the next lad, just one of the boys?
I didn't ever have much experience at that front now, to be honest, Shane. I suppose being a school teacher and with kind of riffraff South Kilkenny, James Stevens kind of looked down on us, was the Glenmore lads. We were known football club and they still are. That's the way it was. I can't say no. I would have mixed with the other guys. I was very close with Paddy Pendergast and Dick O'Hara. They were the guys. Richie Power. We all had a few good sessions together. But Brian, I suppose he maybe was a bit more reserved. But he had a primary school teacher that time in him, and he he didn't mix. I suppose the same as a lot of the rest of them. Saying that some lads wouldn't want to be seen with us first anyway.
Well,
but Shane, funny enough, I'd never have had the opportunity of having a few beers with him, but I would have actually asked him to do one or two little turns for me in the past in relation to birthdays and this and that. And I'd have to say, another gentleman, and always came through with the goods, in fairness.
No, I've never experienced any social activity. We went on trips and all that, but they kind of the older stuff kind of came to themselves more. So they didn't. We never had any. There was no bad blood with any of us. We all got on. We played and fought for each other, and fought for the next fella. But socially, I wouldn't have much interaction with Brian over the years.
I suppose just to finish up then, lads, because you've both been great with your time. Who's going to win on Sunday, Christy, and why?
I think we have a great chance of winning, and the main reason I think is the pain. The pain is there from last year. I think that should drive them on. Also, I suppose they hammered them in the league final as well. So I don't know how players react now. Do they mix much? I don't know, Ciaran, what the story is there, but I think that in itself is enough to drive them on. Like what happened with Tipperary and Cork back in the early 90s, and you had the Offaly team, as well, going on to play the All Ireland as well, with the change of manager down through halfway through the term. There's nothing as good to drive people on as saying, "You're only wasting your time. Limerick are going to protect the cup." That in itself will, and the headlines that people are making. It's hard to get away from it, Ciaran. You would like the team. Limerick are a tremendous team, no question about it. You probably never see like them again. How long will they stay going for? When will the line be broken? We hope it's Sunday. Time will tell.
So, Ciaran, which way is it going to be a 4 in a row? Kilkenny to lose 4 All Irelands in a row, or Limerick to win 4 in a row?
Shane, now, what's your own opinion? You give no little opinion on it, yes? What way do you see it going?
The viewers don't care about my opinion.
Of course they do. Without a doubt they do.
They want to hear about you. I think it'll go down to the last 10 minutes. And I think, like, you look at last year, Casey wasn't playing. Keane Lynch, your nephew, wasn't playing. Those two boys are coming to the boil. Hegarty's starting to come to the boil. I think Limerick will pull away in the last few minutes and maybe win by 4. So that'll be my thought on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Declan Hannon was a big one. Now, if Declan Hannon was even 80% right, I'd start him. Like, he was so huge last year. Like, his hands like a Venus flytrap in those tight situations. Like, the man knows how to get it done in pressurized situations.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, and I suppose that question is still lingering out there. Is he 110% fit? Are they going to go with him, or will they go with the last team that had out the last time? Yeah, and come here. No different to both of you, at the end of the day. I think it probably will come down to the last 10, 15 minutes. And, funny enough, as you were talking there, and Christy, you might be able to identify with this. When you're back hurling in your own era, whatever team is the strongest and whatever players appear to be the best, they're the team and the fellas you want to crack at them.
Yeah.
So if Kilkenny, I would give Kilkenny obviously a great chance, and under the stewardship of Ling, I think he's doing a super job of him, and he's a few queer hawks in the line there himself. Peter Barry's with him. He's the first at the back, and he's there, and they're watching the Kilkenny for the last 3 or 4 years, and they can see, even when they're watching, a small little improvement. So if they can even bring about 30 or 40% that they lacked last year, they're there with a great chance. But I just feel, Shane, this year, okay, we'll park the 4 in the year, 4 in a row. It's very easy to mention the 4 in a row when you've won. I just feel this one would be probably the sweetest one, because they were rattled on a good few occasions in Munster, and they still weathered the storm, underperforming. And I just think everything appears to be coming right from at the right time leading into the final. My gut feeling tells me it will take a fair team to beat them. And I leave it at that.
And Chris, we'll give you the right to the reply before we finish up.
Well, I think we're not going up for this to make up the numbers.
Man, that's the... Hey, actually,
and come here, Jane. I'll drink to that.
Christy, I have to ask you one final thing, and you've been unreal with your time. Do you still ever go out for a few pucks yourself? Like, you're still in love with the game?
Oh, yeah. My young fella is playing with passages. Yeah, I would, yeah. I don't like the fucking hurley so sharp, though. I still have the old 36, 37 hurley in the garage. And that is what the boss on the hurley that you guys have now. My God, sure, they can't strike it on the ground. There's no hope of striking it on the ground. The shape is not in the hurley to strike it on the ground. Yeah, so look, it's in you. You love it's nothing is you get more pleasure out of striking the ball. That's the way it is.
And Shane, it's funny the way the conversation is going. Right, it's gone to ground hurling. Come here, it's 10 o'clock. We could be there at 10 o'clock tonight talking.
Lads, it's been great stuff. I know the viewers, lots of positive comments coming in. They've really enjoyed it. So, Christy, thanks very much for joining us. And Ciaran, brilliant stuff as ever.
Thanks,
Great stuff. Great to see you, Christy. Mind yourself and God bless, man. Thanks, Shane.
See you Sunday. Bye-bye.
Good luck.